After all the wondering that we've been doing of when the options would be picked up for CJ Stroud and Will Anderson, we finally have an answer that they have been picked up. The question now becomes, how soon will we see a Will Anderson contract? Because it doesn't feel like a CJ Stroud one's coming anytime soon. We're talking about it right here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show.
Got a question for y'all that I really want answered. Is CJ Stroud the next Dak Prescott? What do I mean by that? Well, stick around for more on today's live squad show.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
Welcome to another edition of the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Michael Connor and John Hickman here with you tonight. Stan will be back with us for the next one as we're breaking everything down for the Houston Texans as the offseason continues. One day closer to the draft. It's got to be within, 20 days now at this point for the NFL draft.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, baby. Let's go. We'll actually have something maybe in the first round to talk about for the Houston Texans. I'm very interested in the question that John just teased to start the show, how that's going to go here in a second. I do want to rib him a little bit and have a question for him in terms of a show that I know he's done recently, because I think he's on the side of you better stop it. We'll talk about that in a bit. We're also going to – I do want to get the preliminary – we did not do it last week off the cuff. I do want to get some of the preliminary names together in the final few minutes of the show that we know are going to be on the Texas top 25 list that we've put together, that we're going to put together since they're celebrating their 25th season. But obviously the news of the day, John, not the trade with the Patriots from yesterday for, what's his name? Marte, is it Mapu? Mapu? Okay, Mapu? All right. It's not that. It's CJ Stroud and Will Anderson getting their options picked up as expected. And in the story, there's only really three people that I read when I read these stories. It's Aaron Wilson, it's DJ Bieniemy, and it's Jonathan Alexander.
Three are some of the best.
I mean, literally, they're the only guys that are tied in with it directly. Don't go clicking like I always, as we're getting ready for these shows, I'll just Google Houston Texans, and it's like all these just clickbait aggregated stories. I'm like, don't ever bother with that stuff.
A lot of Yahoo.
But in Aaron Wilson's piece today, it says that, many are expecting the Will Anderson contract to get done soon, and for it to be in the 50 per year range, and maybe even over 50 per year.
Makes sense, yeah.
It makes sense that they did this today and knocked it out. Does this kind of kill off the, I don't even think it was worry, but the annoyance that it wasn't official yet?
The show that'll come out for Thursday, I think. I go into my ideas and thoughts about it a little bit more in depth. But the Texans, doing a 50-year option keeps Will where he is currently until 2027. So we have the 26th season, we have the 27th season, and then the extension kicks in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how I view it is the Houston Texans are just setting themselves up to still be competitive next year in the offseason. And, okay, who's the Texans general manager?
Mr. Bargain Basement Hunter, Nick Caserio.
Mr. Penny Pincher.
Mr. You know who I feel like he is? I feel like he'd be a great Price is Right.
Mr. 1 year deal.
Yeah. Just you get a 1 year deal and you get a 2 year deal.
And so we look at the 2027 offseason where Houston will still be in a window. Right, the extensions for Will Anderson and essentially CJ Stroud won't kick into the following year. That just leaves Houston's options open for next year. Still trying to rebuild a roster. They're going to get it done. Will Anderson will be the first of the two to get his extension. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that we're going to see 48 to 50 for a 3-year deal. That's how Nick Caserio has done his extensions for his max guys, which is Nico, Stingley, essentially re-upping and restructuring and then extending out Danielle Hunter. So I think there was no worry for me for Will Anderson. I think we'll see it between now and the start of the NFL season for Houston, maybe before training camp or maybe during that first week of training camp, we may get the news. But this still allows for the Texans to operate in the sense of let's get the deal done. Let's negotiate these numbers And when we get to after the 2027 season, for 2028, everything will kick off, and you'll get paid handsomely. But there's no worry for Will Anderson, and I don't think there's going to be a worry for C.J. Stroud. But MC, could Stroud be the next Dak Prescott?
Now, are you so you're saying this based off of not production or not being able to get over the top? I'm guessing in terms of money, correct?
In terms of the process
of how it plays out.
That would be
that's a mistake on the Texans' part if it played out that way, right?
Well, so for Dak didn't get a fifth-year option, so instead of a fifth-year option, they franchised him twice. Right after that franchise tag, then he gets the extension. So for Houston, we're looking at this fourth year. Stroud is already on a rookie contract. So instead of a franchise tag in the first year, which is what Dak got, Stroud is going to get the fifth-year option exercise. And then the second year, he can get franchise tagged and then get the extension. So instead of 2 franchise tags, I know I'm talking a lot here, it'll be a fifth-year option and a franchise tag. But what I'm getting at is Dallas was not as committal to Dak in that 2019, 2020 season, 2021 season. In a lot of ways, it felt like for Dallas back then, because I remember I still have some good memory, even with the 2-year-old baby brain. It still felt like, is that the reason why when we get to the postseason, we're not getting real postseason success?
Yeah.
And that's why I look at Dak and CJ Stroud, and I equate them together, because for this year, in a lot of ways, last year, though CJ Stroud had some good moments against the Kansas City Chiefs, you could put some blame on CJ Stroud for not getting past that second round. And I also think Houston, after the fifth-year option is up, I think Houston could very well look at the options, but I don't think there's going to be a quarterback better than Stroud available that won't collide with what the Houston Texans cap already has set in place. Right? They're going to have some big name guys that are going to be getting paid. And so I think Houston set themselves up perfectly with CJ Stroud. If they don't see what they need to see from him this year in his fourth year, no worries. He's already on the contract for his fifth year. And that will be his third year in this system, not his second year. So hopefully by year 3 in this system, he really jumps and improves. Hopefully this year he jumps and improves. But I like how they set themselves up. Will Anderson to get his deal done between now and the regular season, and they could potentially extend out how far, how long they can keep CJ Stroud on his roster before giving him a long-term deal. I said a lot, and I apologize.
I was looking at I pulled up overthecap.com as you're talking about it here, because I wanted to look at the franchise tag numbers and everything. The franchise tag, this number for this year for the quarterback position was 43.9 basically million. Next year, the projection, this is their projection, is at 50.7. So if they franchise in the year after that, just going off of that, I mean, we're talking like 55 million plus on a franchise tag.
So what would be the
yikes? That's a huge number, man. Like I say that, but I guess if he plays his way into earning an extension, he's probably 55 million plus per year. Yeah. So I guess it's just the cost of doing business at this point. Maybe you're right though but here's the next question from that. Say you do that. We've seen how Dak has responded, and he's got the same agent, I believe, Mulugeta, as CJ Stroud does.
I think so.
But we've seen how he has responded to Dallas doing this to him. He calls their bluff, he plays on it, and then he's cost them even more money. That's the other side of this. Because he basically, right. I don't want to say he's pissed off, but I'd imagine there's some hurt feelings about it. Like what if CJ doesn't like you not taking care of him long term?
Well, let's take a look at these numbers really quick. Let's take a look at some numbers from Dakota. We're looking at internet's moving slow here, but we're looking at since 2019. We're looking at Dak in 2020. He gets injured, nearly 2,000 yards, but since then we're looking at 4,500 passing yards. 2,800 passing yards, nearly 29, 4,500 passing yards. In 2024, he gets hurt again, so close to 2,000 passing yards. But this past year, 4,500 yards. And we're also looking at Dak reaching 44 or more 100 yards four times, 30 TDs 4 times. So, I mean, he can call a bluff, right? Because he has the numbers to back it up. For Stroud, he does have a 4,000 yard season under his belt, but he hasn't reached 30 touchdowns. And he hasn't done 4,000 plus multiple times. I mean, and those numbers have decreased in some way, shape, form, or fashion each year since entering the league, as to where for Dak, I mean, at least when he first entered the league in 2016, those numbers were consistent. And then in his 4th year, you're looking at nearly 5,000 passing yards with 30 TDs, I think 33 touchdowns altogether to 11 interceptions. He has the numbers from a quarterback perspective, to back up why he needs to be paid and call out the bluff. For Stroud, on a defensive team that is asking him to not turn the ball over, play smart in the red zone, right? They're not asking him to do some of the things that other the top-end quarterbacks have been asked to do. Stroud numbers don't back him up like that.
Hopefully he's not got. When you asked this Dak question too, I was like, is he gonna not just don't go down the Dak route of your personal life, please? That thing's have you seen that mess?
Man. Well, you know what was funny? He kind of got that out the way a little bit after that first year, after doing Amber Rose a favor.
That's true.
Played Uber for a little minute.
Yeah.
Took her home. I'm sure he didn't charge. So
yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure there was a price that was negotiated inside of wherever they went. I mean, it is. Don't follow Dak's lead is what we're saying. Don't follow Dak's lead. It'll cost you even more. Dak's going to need another $70 million contract here soon because he's going to have child support to pay. A lot of it.
I will say this, guys. If you swap out the 2 quarterbacks, the Texans are the Super Bowl champions this year.
As gross as that makes me feel, wanting to say that about a Dallas player, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think I would take the Tech. And Dak has never done. That's the one thing. Like Dak has never in the playoffs gone over the top, right? He's never led that team. He's never had that. I always think about it like a guy going to the playoffs and elevating. He's never had that Joe Flacco moment. And people would laugh at that, but Joe Flacco had a playoffs to remember. I think he's like 9 touchdowns, no picks, and then won a Super Bowl. Like he hadn't done something like that. I think it's the only question.
I mean, even when we look at Dak's numbers in the playoffs, he's been in the league since 2016. So this is year 11 for him, 7 playoff games, just under 2,000 yards, 14 TDs to 7 interceptions. It ain't been all great. It's been some good moments. And I think between the 2 quarterbacks, we can look at Stroud benefiting from having DeMeco Ryans as his head coach and that defense being built the way it's been built. In fairness to Stroud, they hadn't given him the weapons throughout his career that Dak has had. Stout offensive line the first year he comes in. Ezekiel Elliott the first year he comes in. The receivers that have walked through the Dallas Cowboy doors. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens this year. CeeDee Lamb before. I know I'm missing a couple of guys that were just some ballers for the Cowboys for a while. So it does take the front office here in Houston to kind of provide Stroud some of those things that he needs to be a top quarterback while he's still extremely affordable. And I think that this offseason was probably, especially in terms of addressing the offensive line, the best since Caserio's gotten here. No Joe Mixon, but they get David Montgomery, right? No Dalton Schultz, but he's already here. No Stephon Diggs, but I mean, Stephon only played half a season, and so that kind of backfired. No Christian Kirk, but he was on the milk carton all last year. That backfired. So in the ways that how Houston went about this offseason, you can look at it from a football perspective and say, this may be the more, on the offensive side of the ball, this could pan out to be the best offensive offseason since Caserio has arrived.
Let's hope they're not done adding to it. Hey, the draft is coming up. I do want to take a look at the latest updates we have in terms of top 30 visits. We'll do that briefly here in just a brief moment and get John's thoughts on some of these guys, if he likes any of them, on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Before we get there, though, This episode's brought to you by BetterHelp. Financial stress is something that a lot of people are carrying right now, and it's not just about the numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationships, and your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. And the reality is, struggling with money doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it just means that you haven't had the right kind of support. It's something that everybody has thought about. It's easy to put pressure on yourself financially without really thinking about it. The stress that comes with it, trying to figure everything out on your own, expectations that you feel to have everything together all the time. Therapy isn't about financial advice. It's about working through the stress, the anxiety, and the emotions that come with it. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp helps make it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/locked-on. That's betterhelp.com/locked-on. Texan Squad Show. Michael Connor and John Hickman here with you tonight. Thank you for stopping by if you're watching live. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page. John's got shows coming out. We'll get a preview of that. He just mentioned one of them a minute ago. We'll get a preview. What do you got?
I do want to say that I have an exclusive interview with Latrell McCutcheon, excuse me, cornerback out of University of Houston. That was extremely fun. It's up now, and you can also check out the written article on forwardtimes.com.
Do that. Check out what John's got going on. I have not listened to that one yet, but that will be on my listening sheet tomorrow when I'm in the car. So I'll be looking forward to catching up on that one. Of course, we got the draft coming up. Lots of previewing for that to do. Top 30 visits, John. We did this. We talked about them, I think, last time, but obviously some stuff has transpired since. Here's the reported top 30 visits we have so far for the Texans. Most recent one's kind of interesting. The Texans visited with Indiana running back Kalen Block, Missouri defensive end Zion Young, Iowa State DT Dominic Orange, Cincinnati tight end Joe Royer, Tennessee tight end Miles Kisselman. Yeah, sorry, Miles. Georgia defensive tackle Christian Miller. That's one that's got a lot of people's heads turning for that one, at least paying attention. Miami cornerback Keontae Scott. We talked about him before. Oregon guard Emmanuel Pragon. They had Stephen F. Austin cornerback Charles Demmings. I believe that one doesn't count towards the top 30 or not. I think there's a local difference, I believe. I think it counts towards your local visits. So maybe not top 30, but that's listed on here. Texas A&M defensive tackle Tyler Onidem. Sorry, Tyler. Ohio State DT Caden McDaniel. Of course, or McDonald. Sorry, that's one that a lot of people are watching. South Carolina DB Jalen Kilgore. Clemson running back Adam Randall, and Alabama OT Caden Proctor. Read a little bit on him today about how teams are concerned about weight and desire.
He's a big boy.
They said he played last season. He started the season at 380 and played his way down to 350.
He got down.
Crazy work.
Down. He's a big dude, man. He's a big dude. He kind of puts me in the mind. Well, I can see his career panning out like a Mekhi Becton.
Okay.
Where, he's a tackle. He's played tackle, but maybe because of the way you move him on the inside and maybe you get the best version out of that player there. But in fairness, the best version we've seen of Mekhi Becton was when he was in Philly. And I feel like everybody but the Texans' former first-round pick thrives in Philly on that offensive line. I mean, they just know how to do it. And after that, Becton goes from Philly to the Chargers, and he was abysmal this past year with the Chargers. So it could be a Philly thing, but Proctor is a very big dude, man. Very big young man.
Are there any other names out of all those names that I mentioned? I think the most recent names that we haven't spoken about were Block, Young, Orange, Royer, and Kitzelman. So maybe they're not, looking for a tight end in the first round, like you were hoping for. I know you wanted Sadiq there, but any of those names stand out to you? The other guys, or Christian Miller's another one too.
Christian Miller.
You like any of these guys?
For me, it's going to be Pregnon. Pregnon is the guy that I've watched the most tape on.
Is he the one that has he's doing the retest now for the combine stuff? I just saw this earlier.
I'm not sure. He is.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. That was a Miami. I don't know why I thought Oregon's. Miami's offensive tackle, Francis Magua.
That's a big kid.
Yeah, he apparently has a back issue. He's going back for the combine rechecks on Friday for additional imaging on a back issue.
Yeah, that's a big boy. But Emmanuel Pregnon, I think, you know. So I've done research and film on Caden Proctor. I'm not a huge fan of Proctor. A lot of Texan fans were early on, and I think they've started to kind of tail off a little bit from him. But Pregnon, you know, for me, I think we're in a new day and age, MC, where the transfer portal is what it is. You know, it's inevitable, right? It's kind of like Thanos. Dread it, run from it. You're gonna draft a player. You're gonna draft a guy that has seen the transfer portal maybe more than 2 times, right? But we have to look at what did that player do at those stops. If they played, if they did they not play? If they did play, okay, what were some of the things that worked well? And so for me with Pregnon, MC, I think you can agree to this, but I don't think the Houston Texans, as good as their front 5 is now on paper with the additions, they got to worry about past the next 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taylor's on a 2-year deal. Brady Smith's on a 2-year deal. I think they're not in a great break the glass situation where if one of their guards go down or if one of their guards just isn't performing well in training camp, do they have a great backup who you can plug and play? Pregnon is the ultimate plug and play guard for me. Excuse me, I got a cough. Played some good football at USC. Wasn't the best, but it was good football. But then he goes on to Oregon. This is where we really see him blossom into, you know, where he is today. So I'll say pick 28, but I do get the vibe that the Texans would trade out of that pick. And so I could see Houston maybe picking him at 38, or maybe if he slides a little bit further back, they can maybe trade up for him from their 59th overall pick. But I like Pregnon the best. What he was able to do at Oregon, refining his game, getting better as a run blocker, polishing his pass blocking skills. I think when you look at the weaknesses of the Houston Texans offense over the past 2 seasons, and they got better. They got much better at it last year, but just the communication when handling different looks, different pressures, twist stunts, the whole 9 blitzes, you know, that's something that I think he excels at. And he would be just like Ursary for Cole Popovich last year, the young guy that Cole is able to kind of coach up and get ready. He would be the guard version of that. Cole wasn't here or didn't get the opportunity to really get his hands on Kenyon Green. So this could be Houston's, you know, righting their wrong moment. Obviously a better coach, but I like Pregnon a lot for the Houston Texans.
Kenyon Green, by the way, I think worked out for somebody, didn't he?
I did see that
just recently.
Who
I think the Bucks, wasn't it? Maybe the Bucks. So good for Kenyon Green getting a workout. I don't think he signed. Usually, if you have a good workout, you sign pretty quickly. So he'll end up in camp. He'll end up in camp somewhere. I'm sure. We'll see if his career continues. But that's your latest in terms of the top 30 updates. We'll keep watching those and keep those updated as we continue to move along. There is another name that's out there. The Texans, they do still have cap space. Is there something that they could do with it? And we'll talk about it here in a brief second. Locked On Texans Squad Show. Right back to it on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Michael Connor and John Hickman here with you tonight. Thank you for stopping by if you're watching live. We know it's late. We were planning to do this earlier. Day got out of whack for me, and John was so kind to do it later. Stan will be back with us for the next one. The Texans, of course, creeping towards that NFL draft. But, John, there's another nugget out there in the NFL this week that I know you did a show on with the New York Giants.
Big Dex.
Having a big boy that's possibly available to teams. You're telling people to stop, right? To stop dreaming?
Stop.
Why?
Oh, I mean, I almost said a bad word. But, I mean, the Texans ain't never had no problem at D-tackle. Right? They've been able to grab guys off the street, and those guys have been able to perform at a high level. A couple of seasons ago, my man Khalil Davis. Remember Khalil Davis?
Yeah.
And he was making plays for Houston. Where is he now? I think he retired after being traded to San Francisco.
No way, really?
He's retired.
Is he that old?
No, he's a
only
very
29.
young player. Tommy Togiai. Where the hell did he come from?
I don't even remember where he came from. Where did he come from? Cincinnati or something?
Naquan Jones this past year. So for Houston, I mean, they would have to trade for him. He's still under contract for the next 2 seasons. Ironically, so are CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. because they picked up the 5th options. But he is his whole beef on why he wanted to be moved on from New York is he ain't got no contract extension. So if you're going to trade for him and not extend him, that's a waste of time because New York is going to want probably a first or those 2 second-round picks back from Houston. And it'll be different if the Texans has had issues with D tackles in the past. Like Will and Daniil have been amazing, but teams have been able to run on the Texans because of the lack of D tackle pressure. That has never been the case under DeMeco Ryans, at least not for an extended period of time. I just think that for Houston, if you want to make a trade of that stature, it needs to be on the offensive side of the ball.
I would agree there. I did have an NFL.com article, and they list 8 teams that could be in the mix to trade for him. One of them is the Houston Texans. It says, we know Nick Caserio loves the deal. With 3 picks in the top 60 of April's draft, he has the assets to make a trade happen. Sheldon Rankin's coming off of a good season, and Tommy Togiai is an underrated tackle in the middle. But adding Lawrence would be a significant upgrade in the interior. Imagine if you're a quarterback dropping back facing Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, and Lawrence coming at your face. Stacking strength on strength would take Houston's already championship caliber defense to another level. I think there's no denying any of that right there. Fantasy
it absolutely would take the Texans defense to another level. No doubt.
Fantasy world, they get him. We're talking as long as health is on your side, a legit all-time defense, correct?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But the Texans had an all-time defense last year. And the only reason why we won't remember this all-time defense is because the offense failed them. Yeah. So if I'm looking at a team that needs resources and if I got to go offense and defense, let me look at the prior season. The Texans had the number 2 statistical defense and number 1 in a lot of categories. They would have made it to the Super Bowl if not for that final game of the year. There was no Nico Collins. There was no Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz missed all but the first quarter. There was no real running back threat. The offensive line was poor, right? There was no wide receiver 3 or 4 or tight end 2 that helped. But the defense, it was a 1-score game at the start of the 4th quarter. The defense was so great last year that instead of going for it on 4th down with the ball, DeMeco says, you know what? I got to go with the guys that I've seen the week prior scored 2 touchdowns for us. I don't need the Houston Texans. This is just me personally, MC. I don't think they should provide those resources to a defense that the coaching and the players around them have proven they'll be all right with who you give us because they do their job at a high level. It's the offense that's been quote unquote talent deficient. They need those bigger names, not the defense. And D tackle, and I wrote these numbers down since 2023. The D tackle spot, 13.5 sacks, 13.5 sacks, 12 sacks, 25 tackles for loss, 26 tackles for loss, 20 tackles for loss, 2 TDs this past year. During that same time span, this past year, 91 defensive stops, according to PFF. That unit is okay.
Yeah. And
they could get better and deeper with this year's draft class. There's some very good defensive tackles coming out that you don't got to spend $20 million on for one season.
And I think that, as much as I like the thought of adding to the strength, making the strength even more special, you're right. The proof is in the pudding with that team. It's not been a position that's held them back from being great defensively. Has there been moments in games where problems have come up? Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it. it would be nice. This franchise has really never had a history of having elite like nose play, right? Or DT
DJ
play.
Reader would be the guy.
Like
that I'd
old
point
man
to.
washed up Vince Wilfork. At least he couldn't get pushed around a ton.
Yeah, he has some good moments for Houston and DJ Reader, but Amobi
Never been a franchise with a
Okoye.
ton of it.
No.
Yeah, Amobi Okoye. That was unfortunate. That guy he shouldn't have been in the league that early. I know
that was crazy. But you know what's crazy about Amobi Okoye? I mean, he started off his rookie year with 5.5 sacks.
Yeah, at like 19 years old.
Yeah. And then after that, it was, I did my job. I gave you guys 5.5.
Yeah, he had people. I mean, I think it got talked about after he had a crazy health scare recent years. I only knew that because I worked with Indy Kalu forever, and Indy was still good friends with him. And I think there was a period of time like they were thinking he wasn't gonna make it. So happy he's still out there, still kicking it.
I think he has a foundation that does a lot of good work here in the city of Houston as well. But yeah, man, I look at the D tackle spot, and I look at the conversation of Houston entertaining and flirting with Dexter Lawrence. Sometimes you just flirt. You don't need to go home. Just you're out.
It's too loud. I know your wife's back there somewhere, John.
She's in the other room. So, and I'm actually compared to how loud I talk, I'm actually whispering. And I got my ring on. But sometimes
it doesn't come off.
It don't come off. But sometimes you just flirt with the idea. Like, you know what, life with this person would be amazing. But then you got to start thinking about, like, you got to change addresses. You gotta cut people off, and you gotta put resources all in one basket. And it's after pulling resources from another basket, it's just not worth it. So when I'm looking at Dexter Lawrence and this talk to Houston, the idea of Dexter Lawrence being in Houston alongside Will and Neal and Aziz and Kamari and Stingley and Kalen and not Reed Blankenship, that's just beautiful. That's heaven on earth. But then you got to start thinking like, man, but the Texans could use that money for another receiver.
Yes, that's where I keep going back to, man. I was listening to the Adam Schefter podcast yesterday, and he was talking about the receivers that are available and how it's going to probably be interesting to see how the market plays for all these guys here pretty soon. Like, I guess I'm trying to be optimistic.
Please be optimistic.
I think they're going to sign a receiver still. I think. I don't know, but I think.
A veteran receiver.
Yeah.
He
seems to think that this all happened before the draft. Like, this market will move right before the draft.
I think the market will move after the draft.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of teams are waiting to see where does a player like KC Concepcion lands. Where does the Boston kid lands? It's a few names. Where does Amari Cooper Jr. land? I think teams are really waiting to see, and then they'll fill out the rest of their wide receiver room with some of the available vets. And I think for Houston, they've been doing a good job of kind of keeping their current cap space to a place where if they do need to dip in that vet pool, they have some resources. Now, a player that I like a lot for Houston, I think he may be priced out at some point, but then again, I thought this was the case at the start of free agency. We're 4 weeks away from that, and he's still out there. Juwan Jennings.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he would be. I think he would be essentially. Remember how good Noah Brown was for Houston?
Yeah, he had some really solid games. Like, I can think he had at least he had to have a couple of like 100-yard games here.
The Texans don't beat the Bucs without Noah Brown kicking it off in that second half, in that first play of that second half. So, like, Juwan Jennings will be a player that I think is trustworthy, has played in a similar style offense with some type of like the offense can kind of mirror what Shanahan has been doing over there in San Fran for a long time now in certain moments of a game. So I think there'll be some familiarity there. And I think he's a perfect wide receiver for bottom half guy that can have good moments where you may see a game where he's having 65 yards in the TD. Like, that's what the Houston Texans need on this team at the wide receiver spot. And I would love for Houston to go out there and get a Juwan Jennings.
I still think that, unfortunately, like you mentioned, the market might be outpriced for the Texans.
Who's out there?
I think his desire is probably more than being a 4 still.
Agreed.
Because he was what, probably the 2 and 3 at most, at worst, the last couple of years in San Francisco.
Then this past year, I think at times he was number 1.
Yeah, they had a ton of issues injury wise this year for sure. But you mentioned there's other names out there. I mean, I know that we've talked about Deebo Samuel, still a name that's out there. I mention him because he's got at least connections of playing in San Francisco when D'Amico was there. Stephon Diggs is still out there. There's still names. Like, you're right. Even, hey, Odell Beckham's trying to make a comeback. You want to sign Odell Beckham? There you go. Pick him up. I don't think that he's going to be on the radar. John, I think you froze, by the way. Probably pop out and pop back into the studio real quick.
Yeah, man. I saw that. I think it's fun. Is it better now?
Hold on. You started to get back. We'll let John get back in here real quick. Yeah, Odell Beckham's a name that's out there still. There's names. That is something that, again, we've talked about quite a bit. There he is. Now we see you. You just froze on us.
You know what's funny, as you mentioned the Stephon Diggs, Mike Vrabel.
Oh, buddy, you didn't even mention it. You cannot convince me that this is two friends meeting up. You don't interlock fingers of friends.
No, man, and I think that plays a big reason why Mike Vrabel was like, tell us about Stephon. What's going on with Stephon Diggs at the start of last season? Like, he's been here. He's been great for our young guys. he's trying to keep it football, and then 9 months later, we see why.
Yeah,
that's funny, man.
Yeah, you need to think about where you're going, and when you're as big and as recognizable as a man who literally just coached in the Super Bowl for like 200 million people to watch, like, you're probably going to be pretty recognizable to most people, even for the casuals that are out there. Hey, we have the lingering. We're going to get the list of top 25 Texans of all time together. I want to go through these names, a few names, and see if we're missing any with John here that will be in the mix, and then we'll start ranking them in the next show here. We'll start that in a brief moment on the Locked On Texans Squad show. It's our final segment of the Locked On Texans Squad show tonight. Thanks for joining us live. If you're watching live on the Locked On Texans YouTube page, make sure you're subscribing and checking out John's daily work every single day. So, John, 25 seasons coming up for the Texans. We're going to put together our definitive list of top 25 Texans of all time. I've put together a preliminary list of 25 that I feel should be in the mix. I think it's pretty obvious. And I'll give you these names right here, and I think you're going to go, yeah, for sure. These are all on the list. J.J. Watt, Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Arian Foster, Jonathan Joseph, Mario Williams, Whitney Merciless, D'Amico Ryans. I'm telling you, you say that about Whitney. I think Whitney's like third or fourth in sacks.
I forget about Whitney.
I know, a lot of people do. Laramie Tunsil, Owen Daniels.
Okay.
Brian Cushing. This is one where I'm like, I don't know. Eric Winston.
See, did you say Dwayne Brown yet?
Yeah, I think I did. Didn't I? Or did I not put him on here? I should have. Yeah, I had him up here at the top. Yeah, I said him after Arian Foster.
Okay.
If I didn't say it, I just skipped over. But I had him on this list. Yes.
Okay. All right. Then now that I hear Dwayne Brown, I'm 100% okay with Laramie Tunsil. Eric Winston.
He was a good player.
Eric Winston was a good player.
I think once you get to 15, around 15 is where this list gets a little bit difficult. But here's the other names I have: Nico Collins, Kareem Jackson, C.J. Stroud, Deshaun Watson, Matt Schaub, Chris Myers. Is another one of those. It's hard with the linemen. Will Anderson I put on this list.
Yeah, he's a two-time. Well, he's a one-time All-Pro.
Yeah,
he has to be on that list.
Dominic Williams, Dante Robinson, Antonio Smith, Daniil Hunter. And I put this name in here. This is only a 25-man list that I've done so far. Like, this is in no order. I put Kaimi Fairbairn down.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's some guys that I think. So say those last 4 names for me again.
Last 4 were Kaimi, Daniil Hunter, Antonio Smith, Dante Robinson, Dominic Williams.
So I would put Brandon Cooks on that list before Dominic Williams.
Okay, Brandon Cooks. We'll add him. to the potential list here. Brandon Cooks.
I would.
Last week, Stan said Lamar Miller.
I would put Lamar Miller on that list.
Lamar Miller is lower. And the only reason I wonder on that because Lamar Miller has less. I mean, Dominic Williams is still second all time in rushing yards. It's crazy.
That's so sad, Houston Texans.
It's so sad. It's like
because he only played
Arian at like
seasons?
6,800, and then Dominic Williams at like 3,000.
That's sad.
It's not good.
It was supposed to be Dameon Pierce to break that by now.
Oh, no way! It wasn't going to be him. Should have been Ben Tate.
Let's see, 25. Okay, let's think about guys we're missing. Derek Stingley.
He has Derek Stingley on there yet.
Okay.
Is he two-time All-Pro?
He is on there, right? Is he not on there or he is on there?
I didn't put him on there. So if you want to add him, we can add him to this list.
Absolutely. He's the best cornerback in franchise history.
Better than Dante? Better than Jonathan Joseph?
So
already? I'm just asking. I'm not saying anything.
I personally was not a big fan of Dante Robinson.
I wasn't either. I love Jonathan Joseph, but Jonathan Joseph was a little guy
100%.
who could get moved around a little bit.
J-Joe 100%. I love this game. Not necessarily Dante Robinson. So, but I think from a pure talent standpoint, I mean, Derek Stingley was drafted number 3 overall, and he essentially only played one college year. So he's absolutely, and I hate to say this because it sounds like shade, but it's not. He's more talented than any other cornerback that has stepped in this Houston Texans.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And with 2 All-Pros under his belt, I think he's number 1. No, we're not going to put Ed Reed on this list. So I'm
oh yeah, you're not doing that. Hey, I have one for you because you said Brandon Cooks. Do you consider Kevin Walter at all? He's fifth all time in receiving yards.
He's 4th all time?
He's 5th. Nico just passed him this past year.
Kev never had 1,000 yards.
No, he's usually like an 800-yard guy.
Yeah, so I can't do that.
He wasn't even. Yeah, he had an 890. He had an 800 and an 899, and then he was like 6 every year after that.
Yeah, I can't put him in the top 25.
Okay.
You mentioned Brian Cushion. You mentioned Antonio Smith.
The Ninja, one of my all-time favorites. You know what I talked to Stan about last week? I think the biggest point of contention when we put this ranking together is the 3 quarterbacks.
But I think that's 3 different eras of.
But like where they go, like who's above who?
We gotta be real, man. And I was one of those guys that bought into that rookie season hype, and I was like, he's gonna be better, and he could potentially still be better because Deshaun ain't been playing worth a damn the last 2-3 seasons. But Deshaun would be number 1, right?
I think.
Are you putting Schaub up there?
I would give Schaub the edge just because he was here longer. And I mean, I think he won as many playoff games. And I mean, here's the other thing. I think CJ's got more playoff wins than both of them.
Yeah, I think as a matter of fact, doesn't TJ Yates have 2? So let's not respect the Yates, man. Let's not disrespect TJ Yates. But I think again, it's kind of like that Bills playoff game.
I went back and looked at that recently. Man, he made some stupid decisions in that first half of that game. It was so bad.
He did. But, man, I mean, you felt that stadium through the TV.
I felt that. I was in London watching that game. I felt that stadium in London.
Come on, man.
It was crazy. I'm up at 11 o'clock at night watching this damn game in London. I'm losing my mind.
Are we? What about Andre Hale?
Andre Hale. I would have gone Glover Quinn first.
Glover. You know what? There we go. Glover Quinn.
I forgot. That's on me for not putting him on there.
Glover Quinn. And this is strictly players, right?
Oh,
my gosh. Huh. What are we thinking? People can feel however they want to feel about this. Vontae Leach.
Oh, you're right. Vontae Leach was the GOAT fullback. He's got to be in the mix somewhere. I think he was a multiple-time Pro Bowler when he was here.
Vontae. D'Amico.
Yeah,
Christian.
Vontae Lee. Well, most of his. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler 3 years in a row. The first one came with Houston. Then when they let him go to the Ravens, the next 2 years with the Ravens, shouldn't have let him go.
I know we're coming up on our time.
Yeah,
but I feel like
any thought on Jacoby Jones?
Rest in peace to Jacoby.
Yeah, rest in peace. Great guy.
So Kaimi's in there.
Kaimi's in there. I don't think there's anybody. The only other guy that I would consider there would be Shane Leckler. That's a punter.
Jacoby will go over Kaimi.
Okay.
Really quick. I got to do this because Jacoby and all his playing faults, he was electric when he was electric.
Most of his electric came obviously with the Baltimore Ravens. He obviously had his struggles here in Houston. Wasn't a great receiver when he was here.
500,
but he could return it.
2+ back-to-back 500 yards, 3 TDs, 1 year, 3 TD, 2 TDs the next year.
I was wrong. His 2 best seasons came in Houston in terms of receiving. Houston,
but where special teams and punt returns in Houston, 3 total kickoff returns. He got busy in Baltimore.
He did. Just like Joe Flacco had an elite run in the playoffs.
Was a Pro Bowler in Baltimore as well. He's been Houston's best return man. So we look at special teams play.
Yeah, we got to think about. I'll put him down as a potential name on the list.
I don't think he cracks 25. I gave you Vontae Leach. We said Glover Quinn.
You know who could have cracked this list if he didn't have a mysterious injury? Would have been Joe Mixon.
Your boy Fuller could have possibly been. And he hasn't officially retired.
I think it's time to give that one up.
Has he?
I don't think. It's been 6 years since he's played in the league, I think, or 5 years. He's 31 years old now. I don't know if he's. I don't see anything about him officially retiring when I pull him up, but yeah, he hasn't played. He has not played in a minute. That is for sure. He was fast though, man. He could get down the field. He hadn't played since 2021, but just never panned out. All right, well, we're going to start working on the actual ranking of these guys. You got a parting shot for the people tonight?
Just happy to talk Texans with my guy MC, man. It's been a few days.
I'm with you. It's been great to talk Texans with you. I'm guessing you're a little bit less pissed off this week because the Rockets I don't think they've lost since we last talked.
I'm okay.
Well,
I'm all right. I'm in an okay mood.
Yeah, they keep winning. John will be happy. Now just line it up to where they play the Lakers in the first round and where Luka's playing, on his steroid treatment he's getting over in Europe, and Austin Reeves banged up, and LeBron's a 50-year-old man, basically, and they can win.
Well, I think I just read something where Houston's going to take on Minnesota in that first round.
Yeah, I think
with
the standings at the moment. This is your Rockets update on the Locked On Texans. We love all Houston sports. No, at the moment they're playing the Lakers. At the moment they are the 4-5 matchup with the Lakers. Sign me up.
I'll just be there for a game.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Let's hope it goes well. We will be back with this show later on this week with another edition of the Locked On Texans Squad Show. For John, I am Michael. Thank you for spending some time with us late on a Wednesday evening. We'll talk to you again very soon right here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show.